But there's something really awesome in the story of Noah that really jumped out that I had never noticed before as we were writing the curriculum. And it's about, we know that it rained and Noah had to wait on the boat to get off of it and everything. But there's a detail about Noah getting on the boat. Everything's prepared. All the animals are on it. All the food's there. He's obeyed God in everything he said, right? However, God doesn't just shut the door right away. Like God's like, get on the boat, get everything in the boat, and he's going to shut the door himself, and then he's going to send the rain. But he doesn't shut it. You know how he makes them wait for 7 days.
Yeah.
So essentially a hallway, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, God, like, I don't understand. Like, you think about Noah and his feelings. He's probably thinking like what we do. I've done everything you've asked. I'm being obedient. I don't understand. Yeah. How many times have you said those phrases? Like, I feel forsaken.
1,000,000 times.
Because I don't know what else to possibly do. Like, it's totally out of my control, right? And so I feel like Noah had to wait because God, we were talking about this, one, wanted to show Noah, I'm in control here. Mm-hmm. Even though you've partnered with me and you were obedient and you did everything, I'm in control, and it's up to my timing when I shut that thing and when I move you into the next place with this flood, right? So it was just yet another way of showing who's in control. Like, God was like, it's up to my timing, whether it's shut day 1 or day 7. Exactly. And then I feel like in all of that, like, it was a testing too of Noah's heart posture. I feel like we wait in the hallway sometimes, but not because God can't do it right then. Sometimes he's preparing other things or places or spaces or people that are involved in our next door, and it's just not time. It's not that he's punishing us. It's just that he sometimes, I believe, is just checking our heart posture. How are we going to wait? And we were talking about this before we got on, and we were talking about the Israelites and how scripture talks about they complained and they mumbled and, and it kept them in a stuck place when they were in transition. They were supposed to be coming out of Egypt and into the promised land, but they got stuck in the wilderness because of their heart posture. And so there's just, I'm going to stop there, but that's where I was at with the whole Noah waiting for 7 days. I'm like, Lord, I've never taught that before. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Shannon, what do you got?
To teach us that patience. Like she's saying, like, that heart posture. Here's what I'm thinking. If you put it into perspective of what we're doing, we know that the ark was being built because the like those who were not a friend of God, those who were going against everything, they're not allowed on this thing. So could you imagine Noah sitting there going, okay, you said you were going to shut the door and the rain was going to come. Now we got people at this door wanting to come in. I mean, could you imagine?
These are not good people. God is wiping them off the face of the earth because they're not good. They're
not good. And so here he is in the waiting going, okay, now I've got to fight them off too. Like, I just think creatively in my mind, I'm like, well, if you add creative license to it, imagine the things that were coming there too. And he's like, when are you going to shut this door? Like, when are you going to do it?
Any day now, God.
Any day. And so great. And so when we're in that process of one door closing, and another door opening, or, waiting on that, there are all of these things that are coming into your head, into your thoughts. There are things you're trying to fight off. There, a place where you're really trying to stay rooted in that promise that he's talking about. So that was just like a picture that popped into my head going, could you imagine him like trying to be like, no, you can't, you're not allowed in here. Like, no, and trying to trust God and being like, okay, any day now, you can close that door.
Well, yeah. And I do feel like when you are in that season of waiting too, yesterday we talked a lot about like hearing God's voice, but if we're not careful, like Satan knows that you're in a season of waiting. He's hearing us talking about, obviously he can't read our thoughts. He can't, but as we're processing with people and obviously like struggling, like Satan can see that. And there are a lot of opportunities to go down dead end paths during that season of waiting. And, you're in a hallway and you're like, this hallway is going to lead me to a door, but if we're not careful, we can allow Satan to lead us down this kind of low-hanging fruit kind of a venture that ultimately leads to a dead end. And I think we've all been in situations like that. We're like, man, that thing that I thought it was going to be, because it was like, and that's why we can't judge. You know, when I was younger, I used to judge, okay, when it's God, it's the loudest voice. Not always. Oh man. And that had gotten me into a lot of trouble. You know, in the past, just in terms of going down these dead end paths, you know, so that's a whole nother, you know, avenue as well of like, sometimes there are things that like, while you're in that season of waiting, that's why it's so important, even when you don't feel like it, to press in and seek the Lord, because that's the only way that you're going to know, okay, is this door that's opening, is this actually the door, or is this something that, you know, this is something I'm actually supposed to say no to?
You know what I think about right away, and this is the temptation, you guys, that happens when you're in that waiting season, is you're waiting on your Isaac promise, let's say, right? And think about what happened to them when they were impatient in the waiting. Abraham and Sarah. They were taking it upon themselves. Like, God, you made us this promise. We know that you said this. You see us over here, but like, so much time's passing. We don't understand. Let us just take matters into our own hands. And sometimes you feel that way. And God doesn't want you to take control. He wants you to trust. And when it gets harder and harder to trust, that's when you really have to trust. You got to push through that hard place, because you don't want to birth an Ishmael. You know what I'm saying? Like, by going down the wrong avenue or looking to the right or the left, like, stay focused when it's the hardest, keep pushing, keep trusting. And I found that the further I was away from God, the louder his voice had to be to get my attention.
Yeah.
The closer I am and the more of a friend I am to God in an intimate place, it's a whisper. It's an, you know what I mean? It's softer because he's my friend. I'm listening. I'm alert. I'm aware of his presence. And so sometimes it's hard though, because you can pull back and maybe it'll be a quiet place. And are you going to trust? Are you going to trust? And he's waiting.